DreamHack Open is brought to you by Astro, Monster Energy, Corsair, Hacks, GG Bet, and LG Ultra Gear.
Georgia's known as the Peach State, but it's also the country's top producer of pecans, peanuts, and Vidalia onions. The state's onions are considered some of the sweetest in the world. Did you know that, Dust? Did you know that, Bach? I don't think you did. Because speaking of peanuts, in Ashburn, Georgia, it's the home of the world's largest peanut. In fact, it's fake, but that's beyond the point. My name's Trey Saranthus. Got my stun of shades on. You might know me as that as well. And of course, we've got another best of 3 on our way. It's going to be an elimination game between Vitality and the Fragsters. Everyone's excited about this French lineup, and we're going to see what they can do here, trying to stay alive at the DreamHack Open Atlanta. Sorry, I had to take the hater blockers off. Of course, I can't do it by myself. I've got Dust and I've got Bach here, and we're going to start to wrangle this one in just a little bit, guys. You've already seen our first team in Envy eliminated, and this one will also be facing an elimination match. So, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I feel like Vitality is probably feeling the pressure right now. Things haven't gone so well. Obviously, they have that name value with a lot of their players, so I feel like this is a must-win for them. But they're up against a team that is capable, so I don't think it's going to be a breeze for them by any means.
Yeah, but at the same point in time, I feel like Vitality has to be feeling a little bit comfortable in the fact that Fragsters is playing with a stand-in. Even though he's not a bad player, just kind of shoving a player into a role at literally the last minute. I mean, HS got here yesterday from the airport to play their first game. He struggled, but so did the whole team. I don't know if I can really even just look at statistics for Fragsters and really apply any of that, because how is he going to plug into the team?
Yeah.
It's not like you can just say, well, oh, it's like the 4 guys still play the same way and they just popped him in. It doesn't work that way.
Well, let me tell you how, I was going to try to figure out how this bobblehead works, but maybe we take a look at the brackets instead, and we take a look and see how these teams got to position they're in for Group B. Again, this is the first elimination matchup of the day. So, Bach, please tell me about this bracket.
Well, I mean, Ghost beats Vitality early on. We kind of predicted that. Vitality got a lot of rounds off the star power. And then they struggled against Rogue, who actually looked really good with their nade use. MSL has obviously been, working with the guys to get them some things going. And then, we saw Fragsters lose that opener. Ghost, they're already in the playoffs. They'll be playing tomorrow. So this is obviously the slugfest between Vitality and Fragsters to see who's going to play Rogue later today.
You know what we can play right now? A little game by Hacks GG called 3 Reasons Why with Dusty Moretti. Take it away, Dust.
Yeah, so we got 3 reasons why this match isn't so easy to predict, and the first reason is because Vitality has had their struggles. Obviously lost their game yesterday to Ghost. Obviously have really been struggling online with all these different open qualifiers. The European Minor they've been falling in, as well as the DreamHack Winter qualifiers they failed in as well. This is really the only event they've been able to qualify for. So times have been tough on Vitality. I think this is not what people were expecting. That's why it makes it a little hard to read the team and if they'll be able to turn things around in this tournament at least. Then we'll look over at Fragsters. It is true that they have a stand-in. That's certainly a big point to make, but I still think that they pack a punch. There's still players like Stown, like Refresh, guys who can definitely put up numbers. And look, I think this team is tactically going to be better than Vitality. They've even innovated on some maps. They know how to do really nice set pieces. They have functional defaults. I think that they do have an edge when it comes to structure and stability with the 4 players that have been playing together for quite a long time. And then the last reason why this is going to be really hard to read is because on the Vitality side of things, you have a small sample size. It's really hard to know exactly where this team is, whereas on the other side of things, they're dealing with the stand-in situation. So while you have a pretty good read on what the core of Fragsters is like, this whole stand-in thing is going to throw a wrench in things, and I think that's certainly going to make the whole thing hard to read.
Yep, 3 Reasons brought to you by Dust Moret and Hacks GG, the official apparel sponsor of, or partner, I should say, rather, of the DreamHack Open Series. And, well, guys, we should not be just kicking around anymore. There's no more bobbling around for no reason. We're going to be jumping right into the vetoes because it's very important what map, or maps I should say, for this best of 3 we land on. Guys, it's kind of hard to really even give a proper analysis here, I think, is the sentiment we're giving.
To a certain extent. I think that Fragsters still come out of the bat and go with their standard stuff. I mean, I think you got to play where you feel comfortable, even if you're playing with a stand-in. So Fragsters should ban Overpass. Vitality more than likely bans Train. That should be the first two, at least out of the bat.
The thing is, like, whatever map Vitality leaves between Nuke and Train, I think that Fragsters will pick. I think they will be really solid on it. I think that's where they get a map in this series for sure. Nuke and Train, they are specialists on those two maps. They have brought new tactics to those maps I had never seen before. So, I mean, I think a lot of people can kind of attest if you've watched the Fragsters demos and you watch them play Nuke or Train, they come with some pretty cool stuff that no one else is really doing. So I think that combined with the fact that they do have some heavy hitters on their team like Refresh and Stown, I think that that's where they can get a map in the series, is whether they get to pick Nuke or Train, whatever's left.
Yeah, I would say that we will likely see Nuke. I really am curious how they kind of plug HS into the mix, because of the fact that, like you said, they have some creative strategies on both of the maps that you were talking of. How does he fit into that? This is just going to be like, oh, let's just work with our 4-man and just like let him lurk, let him do the lurk rolls on the map. Like if we're going for outer control, maybe he just lurks lobby, late executes towards ramp, whatever the case may be. Just give him some extra power. But I would anticipate a Nuke pick here, especially with the Train ban coming.
I think Vitality should just go with Inferno, if I had to guess. But okay, they got to go with Cash, and they don't pick Nuke. They actually go for Dust 2. I do wonder. I mean, I feel like in any other situation, if actually they're full 5, they'd be like, you know, really looking to get on the Nuke. But maybe because they had to stand in, they actually decided to stay away from a more technical map and try to go to a Dust 2, which is a map that actually Vitality are probably a little bit happy to play. And then, yeah, we're going to go to a third map on Nuke. So we'll still get there eventually, but not at the top, which I think is a big miss for Fragsters. I think they should have gone for it right away.
Yeah, Dust 2 is going to be our first battleground, and I think that's going to be an important one for Vitality to set a tone, set a presence, set a path to winning this best of 3. And, well, if there's one way to do it, or one place to do it, it should be right now for Vitality.
It's just really bizarre that they didn't pick Nuke.
Yeah, it is really weird.
I mean, they still get it in the end, and if they can theoretically beat them on one of those first 2 maps, I think they actually have a decent chance on the 3rd map. Because I do think that Nuke is a map that will play to Fragsters' favor to a certain degree. You still have to worry about that star power.
The problem is
factor.
Cash is such a weakness for Fragsters. Like, they really don't play it. The few times they have played it, that's like probably their most unsuccessful map offline. So I think that that's like a really big problem.
Well, you said Fragsters, and boy, I'm going to deliver just that. Coming in at a freaking hot HLTV ranking of 29th. And, well, Refresh being the one that we're going to have our eyes on, it's really weird situation when you throw HS into this. I mean, obviously, the player they had before stepped out for personal medical reasons. And it makes sense. You know, you have to do what you have to do. Health becomes important. Health is more important than all. And at least in this case, looking at HS, he's kind of been thrown to the wolves here.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a last-minute stand-in. I mean, he's kind of a mercenary in that regard, though. I think he stood in for a lot of different teams. He's played for a lot of different continents, so to speak. So I think that he'll be used to having to be in that chaotic situation. But yeah, I mean, Fragsters is a team that has done really well in the Tier 2. Like, I think they made the playoffs of Valencia and Austin in the DreamHack Open circuit. They even were able to make playoffs at Starlighter Season 6 event through the Swiss system. BetsNet Masters earlier in the year, they had a pretty good run there, placing top 4. So they have done really well at kind of that level of play. It's just they've struggled against more of the elite opposition. They definitely have some really skilled players, Stown being one of them that you're seeing on your screen, a very young, aggressive rifler. His brother, Dragonfly, that you're seeing now, not too shabby of an AWP player. Then later on, you're going to see Refresh, who's kind of more on the passive side of things with the rifle, really kind of clutch player, more mid to late round situations. They're all very young, still have a lot of CS ahead of them. And, I mean, I think that while they're dealt like this kind of rough card of having to use a stand-in, I think there's still some valuable pieces on the team that can still produce in this series.
I mean, the tough thing, too, is, and it's not something we've really mentioned too much, they're a Danish roster playing with an Estonian player. Even though they speak English, it will be hard to just get used to calming your entire game in English. And obviously, they're going to switch back and forth, because the second he's dead, is probably going to switch to Danish again, because that's just where they feel comfortable. But it is going to be a little bit awkward for HS. You kind of just feel bad for him that he's been thrown into this position. And he does have some decent experience. The one thing that's giving them an advantage is the fact that Vitality's roster has experience across multiple rosters. Some of these guys have played together. These guys have been playing together for a while. Fragsters has been together. That core 4 has been playing with each other for a while. So at least you have that like long tenured experience. Like, they've had plenty of time to iron out any potential problems. And yeah, they still have some. But I think in general, that's like the one plus side coming into this series for them, even with the stand-in.
Well, with the stand-in, it's not going to make it any easier whatsoever, but I guess pound for pound, it's even a little bit harder to stay in the Vitality corner that, you know what, we can really get behind this set of crew either, because it's not been an easy road for them, and even though they are making a land debut here, they already find themselves facing elimination.
I mean, these guys are major champions. Some of them are certainly. I mean, they're not even able to get into the closed qualifier for the European minors so far. The only saving grace in that is that it's all a best of one, so you give them a little bit of leeway. But hell, they were even lost a best of 3 to some team I had never really heard of in the DreamHack winter qualifier. So I think that was a best of 1 as well. Actually, never mind. But still, just the only real success they've had is qualifying for this event. They didn't even really beat that many big names to do it. I think that a lot of people are excited about this team, and why not? I mean, you got this young guy ZywOo, who's been, you know, a star level player. It seems like we have to wait and see if he can do it on the big stage, but certainly so far signs are good that ZywOo is going to be this next star coming out of the French scene. You have guys that you know are going to be valuable, like an MBK, who's very flexible in what he can do on a team, like an Apex, who's probably the best pure entry rifle the French scene has. So that they have these pieces that you think, surely, when you see it all on paper, you think you're going to see big things, but it just hasn't really happened yet. And granted, again, a lot of these qualifiers they're filling in are best of 1 formats. Yes, we haven't seen them play that much yet, so the sample size is really small to work with, but I don't think they've gotten off to the roaring start that people were thinking that they were going to see when they saw this lineup kind of come to fruition.
Well, there was even tweets yesterday, I think it was from Kiyoshima, saying they run the same pistols from 2014, which is...
that was another big problem. When you watch that cash game against Ghost, it was just like, man, like they didn't really have a lot to go to when the initial stuff wasn't working. And I think that's a big problem because Fragsters is pretty deep with their playbook.
I'm just going to say this right now. It's freaking me out a little bit. Happy's HLTV picture, he has no facial hair, and it's really messing with my brain. I've gotten so used to seeing him with that beard. It's hurting. It's really messing with my head a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of one of the fears coming into this, is like, how versed is the team going to be across the map pool? Like, how much work could they have possibly done in such a short period of time? Yes, history across multiple rosters, players just kind of being pieced together. It's kind of like a Frankensteinian French roster, which is classic French CS. Just looking at the head-to-head here, there's ZywOo, the player on the left, that I think most people are excited about seeing on LAN stages, just kind of getting more experience. He's a big name in the French scene, one of the most promising up-and-coming players. And then Stown on the opposite side, another promising up-and-coming player, but he's been playing on LAN stages for longer, and he's had some decent, successful runs, like at DreamHack Austin. I remember that was the one player we couldn't stop talking about was Stown, how well he played that entire event.
Well, one thing that this entire event is going to be hinging on is the Ultra Gear, brought to you by LG. And that's when victory hinges on your immediate reaction to what's on screen. The Ultra Gear high-speed refresh rate of up to 240 hertz of pain ensures that you can deal instantly in any scenario. And just like that, you can deal a vote to the Twitch chat right now. You've been given the green light. Spam your hearts out. Exclamation point V for Vitality, or exclamation point frag for the Fragsters, or LOL, Omega LOL, if you're not feeling either of those teams.
Monka S.
Or them. You know what? They're all acceptable at this point. And what is also acceptable at this point is taking a look at the odds and then topping that with your guys' predictions. What do we say about the odds first?
It makes sense. I think that a lot of people are looking at Fragsters saying, oh, they're playing with a stand-in.
Yeah.
The names on the other side just have way more experience. I think that those odds kind of reflect that.
I think also the map pool kind of reflects that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, like you're going into Dust 2, that's been a really mixed bag for Fragsters. So far been pretty good online for Vitality. And then listen, they have good tactics on Cash. I've actually seen them come up with some really cool set pieces, particularly on the B-bomb site, and they have some good players, but the results have not been there in the offline environment for them. It's probably their weakest map when you come to offline results. So when you kind of consider that's going to be the first 2 maps played, I feel like that kind of opened a little bit more of a window for Vitality going into this best of 3.
Well, are you ready?
Sure.
Are you ready, Bob?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Because I'm ready for some predictions. Let's get it underway here, and let's do it right. And let's start with you, Dust.
I would have said Fragsters before I saw the veto, but now that I know what maps we're playing, I think that they messed up by letting Cash through and playing Dust 2. I think it's going to be Vitality taking it.
I'm going to agree. I thought it was Vitality coming into it. I thought even if Fragsters got the nuke pick early on, they didn't pick Dust 2. If it went to Dust 2 as a 3rd map decider, which I could see happening, I could have seen maybe a 3rd map play out, but I still think that they're just not going to have enough with the stand-in, and the other team just has so much star power, they're not going to be able to overcome that, so I think it's going to be Vitality taking it.
Well, I do like to go against the grain every now and then. I will also have to go with Vitality, just on the sheer fact that ZywOo is an absolute monster, and he'd probably carry this one all the way through. Perhaps it'll be enough, perhaps it won't be, and perhaps it's time to bring in the commentators so we can get this bad boy underway. It's going to be a best of 3 with the Fragsters of Vitality, and to bring it to you is going to be Risk and Blue, or somewhere in the venue. How's it going over there, guys?
There we go. Pretty good. How are you doing?
Outstanding. So let's go ahead and get into the game. You guys just take it from here, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, thank you very much, Stunna, and it is going to be us once again bringing you the action for the second best of 3 of the day, and it should be a pretty close match now, especially with the way the veto ended up going once again. Vitality, in my eyes, have a really good chance to close this out now for 2 maps.
I think this is either going to be 2-0 to Vitality if Cyber really steps up and shows his online form that we haven't really seen. He's been okay so far in this tournament, but he can definitely be way better than what we've seen. Didn't really have a lot of time to show his op skills either on that first map yesterday. But now, if it goes to maybe like that third map, if we go onto that nuke, I think Fragsters have a real chance of grabbing it then, and then in the 2-1 scenario, they can grab it. But it all depends on these first 2 maps. They have to survive. They have to get 1 out of these first 2, and I think Dust 2 is an interesting choice because, like, they played it 12 times. They only won 25% of those games, but they are picking it for a reason. Like, with the time they had yesterday to prepare with HS, they could at max prepare 1 map. So what could be the idea is that prepare a map that your opponent is not going to really think that you're going to pick. So you have something prepared on that map. And that's what I'm hoping to see, that they have something special on Dust 2 that includes HS. If they have that, then there's a chance that they can win Dust 2. Cash is probably going to go to Vitality no matter what. And then Nuke could be the saving grace. But I still think the odds are correct in that Vitality definitely have the biggest chance of winning this here.
All right, guys, so we are going to jump directly into it now. It's our first map of our second best of 3 series for the day. Vitality taking on Fragsters. It'll be Vitality starting off on defense with Fragsters coming on offense. And Zywoo specifically getting a little offensive from his defensive start. We'll move directly onto Catwalk. Try to look for anything, but nothing will be found, so we'll have to quickly fall back into CT, where we've already got Fragsters going for a mid-to-be execute. They're not going very well. 3 quick kills from Vitality. Potentially a 4th coming up in a second here. There it is. HS is able to trade for 1 within the B-bomb site. But as you can very much tell, he's not far away from being completely overwhelmed. And with that overwhelming, it's Vitality that pick up the round and start things off 1-0 for themselves.
Yeah, nice flash time with the flashbang on the wall from the CT side there. Completely blinds the 2 rushing players. Makes it easy for the rotating players and the guy in CT mid here. Apex to just grab 3 frags, basically. NBK coming in with the help and mops up the round. Nicely done by Apex. Fragsters tried to pick up the pace and really go on the aggressive for this pistol round. Didn't work out. Now HS has to come out with the Desert Eagle. Just a couple of pistols with some armor behind it. Yes, it is a full investment, apart from HS, who's on 1600. But still, not that much money in it. But a chance nonetheless. We have seen what Deagles can do before in this game. Very standard default beginning. Take control over long. Plays 1 player in pit. And then from there on out, mid-round call what you want to do in this situation. Do you want to take the duels? Do you want to come in and see if you can trade? That's what they're trying for right now, but they're not making it work. Apex is still alive here. And Solo and HP always things out players.
It's a lot of dinking, basically, is all we're getting, unfortunately, from the Fragsters' perspective. And at the end of the day, the trading that we are seeing is still very much going in Vitality's favor. Now that Fragsters have brought down just Dragonfly and HS with 17 HP between the 2 of them. Not much hope for them to bring this round back unless they get really lucky with some positioning here to line up some Deagle headshots. And it seems like Vitality are playing it incredibly passively so as to reduce the chances of that happening as much as possible.
Let's see here. Zywoo. Ready and waiting with the farmhouse. First line defense. He'll grab 1 and the second one. Easy peasy for him. 2 frags go down the drain. And Vitality can be happy about this. One thing to note as well, the coach behind the players on Fragsters is actually the 3rd brother of the Lund family.
Yeah.
Life Dance is his nickname. Used to play actually way back in 2015, 2016 together with Dragonfly and Down. But then I think he actually decided himself to leave the lineup because his individual level was just nowhere near the 2 other brothers, which was the correct choice. And then it established the core of Torben, Stown, and Dragonfly, who's been together since the early parts of 2016, which is insanely long for CS these days.
Yeah, I mean, especially considering how international I think in Europe things got recently. It is surprising to see that together. But the Danish rosters are the ones that tend to stick together the most, it seems, as we do see Fragsters moving in there. Finding quite a few kills, actually, and ending up with a man advantage at the end of that, despite still being on a relative eco here, although that's changed a bit now that Refresh has been able to scavenge himself an M4 off of one of the downed bodies. And
if you can throw that M4 over to HS in this scenario, who has the head armor, that could be really dangerous for the eventual push, especially if they go on a specific timing onto this B bomb site. And I think that's the play right now. Get that M4 over to HS, do like a timing, maybe a fake down towards mid, and then go straight in for the kill in a refrag scenario. Put in like a Deagle player first and then the M4 player next. And that is exactly the play. Refresh even has a nade if he wants to bait something out. And he's just all gonna go for it now. NBK in big trouble.
Okay, gonna be pressured first off, but he's given enough room to put together 2 kills at minimum, which evens out the fight now into a 2v2. ZywOo gets pushed from the door, but it's ZywOo that finds the pickup as well. Has some trouble finding the bomb planter there, so he does allow the bomb to actually go onto the ground and the extra money to go into Fragsters' pocket, but the round itself still remains under the control of Vitality, and they are gonna take it now with 3-0.
3-0, great start, but nonetheless, Fragsters are really happy about just getting the bomb down there, just getting that extra economy going in a round that was very low investment for them. They still get to take away a couple of rifles as well, to the 2 frags that HS getting in the end with the M4. So they have the possibility of getting an AWP on Dragonfly, which means that he'll only have 1 smoke, so a little bit of lacking in utility, but everyone else has full strength. And he hits NBK through the wall down to 28 HP, so that's a great start for Dragonfly here.
For the Fragsters, though, we are going to see a slow build-up from them, mainly outside of the long doors. It's ZywOo that's actually going to be challenging this from Vitality's side. Good chance to maybe grab someone if he was actually going to be a little bit more restrained on the AWP, but now that he's fired up the shot, probably much less than a chance now. We aren't going to see as many attempts to cross that door. Molly will force out at least 1 player from the side of Fragsters. This is going to let RPK walk inside, but the Molly spreads in the wrong direction at the last moment, and unfortunately ends up pushing him back, so never mind to that.
Lining up smokes now, the T side, for an A explosion. Lots of flashbangs here to take the initial control, but two CTs are ready and waiting. Apex with a spray down and the FAMAS and NBK close range. They're not going to go through the smoke. It's completely locked down and it's all on Dragonfly. 1v4. Tries to go for the flick, but it's not happening.
Yeah, now Dragonfly's going to back up, but he'll end up running directly into his opponents here in a moment. Catches onto it and finds the counter. So our maximum is now just looking to take out some players here and get some economical damage done, but we're not really going to see that besides the 1 kill that he does pick up for himself. Vitality still won it out with 3 alive and the crushing defense that's set up at the edge of those long doors.
Yeah, and that's why usually when you see like decent level teams, especially in Europe, that so competitive about taking that long control, because if you have it as T, you can get one down into pit, you can kind of control how you want to execute on the A-bulb side. As CT, you can just keep them at bay for so long. If you place 3 players early on, you can 1 player then smoke and then rotate off, and still you have 2 smokes with maybe a minute to go, and you can just hold that smoke wall down. And one thing that I didn't really understand for Fragsters there is that the smoke was down. They went actually for a right-click flash and then a flash over to get through the smoke. They could have just waited 10 seconds, and then they wouldn't have to go through the smoke. So I guess the idea was the element of surprise. You're not going to expect them to go through the smoke, but in this scenario, it just didn't work out.
And so this takes us into our next round. It is the first, or one of the first real investments that we are going to end up seeing from the Fragsters side of things. A little bit more firepower for them to work off. It's going to be solid. Starts things off well with a quick frag on ZywOo, a quick pick to get them long access, and really no one else to challenge that from the Vitality side for the time being. They're just going to have to sit back and wait for the side push to come now if they do end up deciding to go for A, but Apex is looking to at least throw a wrench into the gears now as he moves in on Cat and is able to take down HS lurking in mid. Molly will force RPK out. No one's watching it, so he gets away with 2 kills before getting traded out by Refresh. Happy may now consider leaping into it, but no, he'll hold himself restrained, and Apex actually will be left out to dry though because of that. He overextends past the hay bales and ends up getting taken down by Refresh instead. No one else up on the site anymore. It's an open plan opportunity for Stawn and Refresh to try and close this out.
It is not being planted for long though, but I'm not exactly sure that Happy heard that. It doesn't matter in the end. APK goes for the peak and Refresh has complete control over the situation. One thing I'd like to note as well is that, like, even though Stam gets the AWP in this one, he's not the primary AWP. He just had the front spawn towards long, so he made the individual call, and that's something that he's actually very good at, even though he's not the in-game limit. Just saying, okay, I can give us an early advantage, just let me do this, and then we can do whatever mid-round we want to do after that. Very nicely done by him to open up the rounds down. Now Dragonfly, the ordinary AWP, missed the shot out towards long.
And so Fragsters are going to be forced back now. No initial presence will be able to be established on the outside of long here, but Dragonfly is still going to be contesting it. More so right now, they're just trying to hold back Vitality if they get aggressive by the door. And the main focus for Fragsters shifts to mid. They're trying to play into the doors and probably eventually on a Cat from here too. But there's Watch posted pretty much everywhere. Mid would actually be the easiest spot for them to push right now. ZywOo sits on Cat. He gets a quick pick, tries to go for a number 2, but will get pushed back down below. And that will give the T's control of Catwalk.
Dragonfly very aware of the corner where ZywOo could transition to, but no one's pushing in just yet. Might see the double smoke stat. 1 down towards CT and 1 on the top of the box, which is exactly the case. Flash goes in. towards this position, but Apex, he's completely free of this, but flashbang timing doesn't work for him. Refresh picks it up, but NBK drops it back in, and C-Set 75 close range, and Saiwu as well all of a sudden. Saiwu is pushed down, will get one, but eventually knocked down. And even though they had the mid presence and had the smoke set up, they just got wrecked.
There's no capability to trade, really. No initiation rights to get into the site, especially at B. When they run in towards window there, when they go, I think it was NBK, or potentially Happy that was sitting up towards window, basically just causing so much delay here and stopping them from getting into the site. Nobody really wanted to take a risk on challenging the door there either. So Fragsters is missing a lot of opportunities to get into the site, halting at mid, and obviously just leaving them in the open to get burnt out by the members of Vitality.
Seems like we have a little bit of a pause as well. Taken by Fragsters, already spending 2. So a very different picture than what we saw, for example, from Envy. I know Daber is one of the 1.6 legends as well from NA, was also agreeing with me on Twitter saying that they should perhaps use more of those timeouts. And we see the exact opposite of not using timeouts here. Already 2 spent in the first, like,
they just used one last round too, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or like 1 or 2 rounds ago.
So they're really like overutilizing them at some point. But it's fair enough if the coach and the players see like, okay, there are these small things. If we can fix these 5% things, then we have a better chance. It's fine to use them now.
There is an immediate reset that just came onto the table for Fragsters too, so they spent all this time building up the money, even closing out on 1 round, and then now they've just been put right back down to square 1. So I can imagine that might be pretty discouraging for them, and they need kind of a recovery plan to get back into this pretty quickly, and that's a large part of what was just discussed right there, since they're right back where they started 3 or 4 rounds ago now.
Desert Eagles, Mac 10s, and a scout on Dragonfly. Could be dangerous. Looks like they're going to go for the B explosion. 1 player on the opposite side is now rotating in. It's Dragonfly with the scout. So Happy and his teammate on this B bomb side. 1 in the corner, that's HS, but Smoke will clear that Molo out. Such a great setup here on the B side. They can just spray away, and Happy and NBK should be able to hold this. Flashbang timing. Whoa, okay, Torben coming in with 1, and now Apex flashed out. He's not going to be able to go into the door, so 3v3.
No one will be able to get past the door. That's the other problem here too, but it doesn't matter. Vitality take the fights anyway. It's Apex that goes in, gets a 1-for-1. It's a lot more money this is costing them, and even the scout shot connecting opens up a small opportunity for them there, but it's Saiwu and RPK that shut it down instead. Vitality once again close out on the round. Only 2 standing at the end of it though, so their money's not going anywhere anytime soon. But their lead will continue to grow. Now it's 6-1 against Vitality. And with Vitality more than likely still being on a relatively, with Fragsters still being on a relatively full eco on this next upcoming round. And there it is. All Glocks for the start of it. They just don't have any money to fight this time.
One thing statistically that's also very interesting for Fragsters in this setup is that they're on a 7-map losing streak, plus 2 if I'm not mistaken. And they still have the confidence to pick it into Vitality in a decider game. This one is going to be over fairly quickly. Glocks will have nothing to do against the MP9s. And there we go, 7-1.
Under 30 seconds on the round once again, so a very quick cleanup that we see from Vitality there on the anti-eco. Fragsters just not even really putting up a fight that time, it seems, on the pure Glock build up there. They managed to bring Apex low, but that's basically it. Besides that, it's a complete shutdown from Vitality, a walkover round, if you will. And now, of course, this takes us back into the buy for Fragsters. But no op presence to be seen. Very basic utility here as well. Only a single Molotov and a single HE grenade across the entire team. So it's a very basic kit for them, but it's enough to line up your standard execute as well, so they can still try quite a few things, especially considering it's Dust 2.
Saiwu always aggressive with the AWP. Once again goes into this specific angle, has the refract potential of RPK close by, if they decide to rush him. RPK going in, puts down, winning that duel straight up. Now Saiwu could be under pressure. Flashes and everything just going in. He has a secondary teammate, and that's Apex. No one's going to count on Apex being in this position. They already killed RBK, and they have heard the AWP of Saiwu. Surely they're not going to check that corner if they go out long.
And now they're going to start moving their way out. Away from this for the most part. Down, manages to take down Apex. I think that was Apex that also pushed the B door on the last round too and cost his team dearly. But it's going to be Saiwu that gets knocked out quickly as the rest of the team quickly wraps around, gets themselves cat control, and with that kills, pretty much won the round already for NBK and Happy. There's just not really any position for them to work for a retake in a 2v4, especially considering how little utility was used by Fragsters. They still have multiple smokes to use in the post plant, along with their HE grenade, so there's really just no room for Vitality to get back on this site tab. They can look for kills, that's for sure, and NBK is going to be able to get one of them right now. But in terms of getting back into that site, that's a dream that's long gone.
And that's one of the problems as we do see NBK just try and get some extra frags here. If you want to stack 3 players long as CT, you have to constantly be focused on the fact that, okay, if they kill one, we have to instantly refrag. Because if you want to like contest an area for that much, like spending that much time on one specific area, you also have to take down the numbers of your opposition. If you just take straight on 1v1 duels, then you can lose them all, as they do in this round. And if they lose 3 players and just let Fragsters take full control over A long, the round is just lost already then. The 2 other players, there's no chance of retaking. So it's a high risk, high reward, and you definitely have to go for those refrag scenarios when you take long control. And you can see here Star just 2 individual 1v1 like duels against RPK and Apex respectively. And with an AK-47 in hand, he's going to win that every time.
Solidity finally being found there from Fragsters. The real question, of course, is can they keep it going? They still lose a couple of players, and that's brought their money down lower. Thankfully, they can at least withstand this round. Should they lose it, they definitely need to come out on top and try to chain a few together here, because Vitality is starting to run away with the scoreline a little bit. It's a good opening kill from NBK. Happy's going to be jumping to support, but they don't need that right now. There's no presence in mid that they have to worry about. NBK is already at the wall, ready to fight for control of the B bomb site. They have a man advantage, but the problem is Fragsters also has full control of that B site. And even with the man advantage, it's going to prove very difficult with the amount of numbers Fragsters still have standing to get back into that B site.
So much utility on both teams right now. Going to be very curious to see how they use it, especially the CT Dragonfly. Putting it spam through the smoke, they hear the bullets connecting. Continue the spam. Another one coming in from Saibu with the fire, and now 2v5.
Still quite a few flashes to be used by Fragsters too, but there's no much pressure now for them to be able to use that Vitality storm back into the B site and retake it by force. Only losing 1 player in the process as well, so very clean from Vitality. And again, unfortunately for the Fragsters, it's just another reset that they have to deal with here.
Kind of curious that it was a 4v5 retake, or post plan if you will. They have a lot of utility, and they still like don't get into their post plan positions correctly. Like, you don't want to stand in front of a smoke in those like hallways. When that smoke comes down and you really can't use the angle anymore, like as an opera, to kind of make sure they can't really come in from the tunnel, just rotate back and hold something else. Instead, he just gets banged through the smoke, and the fire of Saibu will take 1 more up, and then the round is specifically done. So I'm kind of a little bit questioning maybe the communication in that post-plan setup for Fragsters, because everything else just looked so on point.
I think they kind of bit into the bait from Vitality a little bit, because Vitality's playing this like really aggressive game for the most part, and they've lost quite a few players because of that. I mean, I think I noted it was RPK or Apex that has overextended a few times. It has lost his life, costing Vitality. The thing is, they kind of baited a little bit in the last round there in order to get some of that extra utility thrown out early from Fragsters, and it worked. The problem is Fragsters continued to bite into that by overextending a few of their players and trying to take duels early on in the round, or early on in that fight there for the retake. And because of that, as we saw, lost the player in the tunnel, and then things really just fell apart from there.
I like the general idea, though, of having like a quick-paced T-side where you take mid control really, really early, like Torben did in that scenario. This one, are switching it up. The Fragsters players taking slow control towards short. Everyone's grouping up for big execute. Smokes and Molotov. Smokes being lined up now. Could be the CT drop. Let's wait and see.
Apex knows for sure that something's cooking towards Cat. So he's going to sit back and try to stay ready for the push around the elbow, but it won't be coming from there. It'll be the 2-man jump down that's going to pick up not only that kill, but the opening kill on his Daiwu. RPK's not far behind. It's a storming success for Fragsters, even though 1 trade is picked up by Happy. It won't matter. The site's under Fragsters' control. And similarly to a few rounds back for NBK and Happy, they're just so out of position here and without a man advantage. So there's not really any reason for them to attempt the retake on the A site. Fragsters win it again on the take, and that will put a 3rd round on the board for them.
A very nice execute coming in from Fragsters, and utilizing that double smoke setup where you can drop 1 or 2 guys into CT, and you can either go turn around and do a B split, or you can just put 2 guys into CT and the rest just go short. You can kind of pressure the side at the same time, especially if you do it with a flashbang timing from short. That can be very effective, and that's exactly what they made happen here. Even though they don't have full kits on everyone, those 2 smokes, flashbangs, I'm not actually sure if they used the Molotov for Goose, so you can do that as well. That's a fine execute, and you only need, what, like 6, 7 grenades for that. You don't need full kits on all 4 players.
Fragsters waking up a little bit more here now. They found the weakness. They found their capability to push in from Catwalk onto the A site. The question is, how many more times are they going to run that before the counter is found by Vitality? Do Fragsters have another backup plan to work with after that? Or are we just going to see them start to immediately change things up now? Regardless, it's Fragsters that, again, will take a pause, leaving them only 1 for their other half, which is still to come. So we still have 4 more rounds to play out in this first half.
Communication in the Fragsters camp. It's Torben, the current in-game leader of the team, just making sure that everyone's on the same page. Kind of interesting how, like, the 3 Lund brothers, it's kind of like, have you ever read Harry Potter, the Weasley family, where they have like Ron, and then they have the 2 brothers in the middle, and then they have the older brother Percy? That's kind of like the 3 guys on Fragsters, where Down is like Ron, and then Dragonfly is like the middle kid, and then you have the coach who's like the older, like, statesman, just holding everyone under control.
We'll see how those 3 are able to push themselves forward a little bit more, but it's responses from the Oppers on the French side of things that is instead finding the impact right now. ZywOo and, of course, NBK's initial kill hold back Fragsters and keep Vitality at a 4v3 after some initial action. The problem, though, is, again, ceding B site control for the most part over to the side of Fragsters. Going to let them walk right in. They do have a man advantage to play off of this time, and more importantly, their opponents do not have a whole lot of utility to play off of here in the post plant besides a single Molly and an HE grenade.
See what to do here, what kind of timing Vitality gonna throw against Refresh. Very good at this specific position. Gotten many a kill here, especially if there's no flash timing to come in. This is very deadly, but he changes up, goes for the rotate, picks up ZywOo. Molotov lands in, but he's still gonna get frags. Refresh in this position is so deadly. And now leaves the last man standing. That's gonna be happy, but he has no time. Has to run away, save a weapon.
That Molly at window wasted so much time, actually. That utility they had proved so crucial. And nice hit by HS. He went down to the bomb explosion. I didn't get to see if he did or not. I heard guns crash to the ground, but I don't know if that was him or the explosion. But regardless, they chased him down and prevent any save from the side of Vitality.
And that's something that you'll see if you start to analyze Fragsters demos on their post-plan stunters too. Is that on the T side, if you have Refresh alive, you're going to find him 9 out of 10 times below window. And the only way to clear him out of that position is just the flash timing. There's no other way, even if you do the Molotov there to force him off, he's just going to rotate and play a different angle. And he's just so good at that specific position.
Bit of some chaos there on the initial walk up towards Cat early on. The CT's finding some impact for sure, but the same can be said for the Ts. And in an even exchange, this still serves to further Fragsters' agenda. Since Vitality are primarily, again, working with those pistols on this round. Another clean kill from Fragsters opens up the rest of the A bomb site for the most part, allows their plant opportunity to show up here in a few seconds too. We are, of course, going to have the last members of Vitality attempt to contest that, and it actually works! Drops the bomb in the process down at the bottom of the ramp. HS should be able to walk over and retrieve that. Make a second attempt at the plant this time. And it's going to have to be Dragonfly on the op instead. We'll watch guard for this, but the 2-man push could be working its way out. Thankfully, that Molly should hold them back. There we go. Dragonfly catches the CT player, and BK is going to eat a lot of damage from the Molly on the way out here towards the elbow.
HS should just bait in this situation. No reason to take a duel. Bait for Dragonfly to get the opener, and that's exactly what he's doing.
Just mentioned, get past the point where Dragonfly can really spot him, though, as long as he crouched. But no, I take that back. He sees him anyway and manages to take him down just through the wall, knocking him out. Closing out another round here for the Fragsters.
Perfectly played in this 2v1. Like, HS knows exactly, okay, I have an op down towards long. Let me just bait here, grab all the attention, and then he has to cross at some point, and then Dragonfly can take the duel whenever that situation comes, because he's going to have the advantage with the all scoped in and everything. Double up setup on the CT side now. NBK and ZywOo both going for it. Dragonfly, of course, still on the T side with his op. And one thing that is the difference right now between these two buys is that the utility on the CT side is nowhere near the same level as the T side. Also, only one kit. Literally no smokes left with 135. Could become a problem for Vitality as we go into, let's say, and execute 35 seconds remaining. Okay, that's also a problem. Just losing a straight-up duel to HS.
And it is going to be HS that...
Was that through the smoke? Or was that smoke deployed straight after the kill?
I think the smoke was right after he got the kill. Obviously, we didn't see that from our perspective. I could be wrong on that. Maybe he did get it correct.
You never know.
Regardless, Refresh gets a second kill, and this is looking like a bit of a domino effect happening once more. Although, Fragsters haven't been able to get their way onto an actual site just yet. They were held back on Cat. with NBK finally trading out to HS back over at the B tunnels, it should be very straightforward to Vitality to see this is another cat play that Fragsters used also on the previous round. Stopping two of them quickly, but baiting into it there. We do see Stawn with the trade. ZywOo trades it right back, though, and leaves only Dragonfly in the fight with an op. Against two ops, mind you. He sees one of them, so there we go. Cleans up the site. He only has to deal with NBK coming in from his flank.
Let's see the timing. He's so scared of short. Oh! Just exactly runs away, but NBK sees him, and NBK is not going to let that go. 15-7 scoreline for the old Frenchman here. Old in comparison of CS, and of course still sitting around, what, like 24 years of age? I think he's just a couple of years younger than me.
Who's this?
NBK.
Oh, is it?
But he's been around for such a long time. Like, he signed his first pro contract with Very Games back in Source when he was like 15.
Yeah, he looks like super young if you look at like the first photos of him, so that's not surprising.
He was so cute. He's still kind of cute, but very cute back in the 2010 years.
Well, we've got Fragsters all stacked up now. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a scrap buy for them, so we'll see how their chances of actually getting out into the site are, but maybe not a commitment here. Because they're all backing up now, a little bit of a fake. And they're going to throw a tad of utility over onto that A site too, but for the most part, everybody backing up. The problem is, though, is they didn't leave anyone to stand watch. So not only has Dragonfly been picked at long, but we've got players that have infiltrated mid and the tunnels at that. So Fragsters doesn't expect to see anyone here. This could turn very messy if NBK gets himself into a good position. He actually just moves out for the intel early, checks the courtyard outright with a face check. Doesn't seem to have deterred the Fragsters. They're still going to walk right through and out onto the B site.
Happy with a chance to make a play here. Drop down, instant refract from Torben. NBK's forced back at the edge of the smoke. Apex going straight in for it, but NBK will grab it. Apex with the possibility of ending the round, and him and ZywOo will do that. 10-5 for Vitality. A decent end to a first half that could have gone another way. Fragsters with a great deal of pace in the mid part of that first half, but Vitality will close it out.
Yeah, ultimately, this could have been like way worse for Fragsters at the end of the day, because at the very minimum, we do see that nice 3-round streak from Fragsters where they were dominating a little bit. That was really what they needed to get them onto the board and leave a realistic chance alive for them to get back into this game now as we switch sides, and we're going to see the Fragsters jumping over to the CT side this time with a pistol start. Same as our last map, really, that we played in the previous series. They're right back into it with that. But unfortunately, Vitality from the individual basis has still, I think for the most part, been dominating a lot of this map. So if Vitality awakens just as strong on their T side with the pistol win in the following rounds to start that one off, if we end up like 12, 13-5 again, same as that last map on Overpass, it's just not going to leave much room for the Fragsters to come back.
Pretty much putting all your money in 1 or 2 buy rounds. And if you fail both of those, it's over.
So it is tough times for the Fragsters, despite the small amount of success that we did see them having. But in just about 2 or 3 seconds here, guys, we are going to be going back into the map. And it's going to be time to see if the Fragsters can rebound at all on CT side, or if this first map will be French affair going by the way of Team Vitality. Take it in convincing fashion. Let's find out.
Happy. Smoke set up towards mid. Refresh spotting for early access. That's the Xbox. But will it be for the split B? I think that's the play here now. Take control over T mid. Have a couple of players in tunnels. Actually, it's not going to be the split. It's just going to be the straight-on push. HS is going to come under pressure. Great opening from ZywOo.
By him, and there's not even anyone in the site, but that's a great fadeaway coming in from Torben at the very minimum. Moves away from the doors. He picks up that quick kill. It's going to be refreshed looking for a few as well, but they've only served to equalize things with the pickup there. Happy, patiently crouching in the lower tunnels. He gets down to walk directly by him. NBK tries to jump into the fight here too, but gets overrun by Dragonfly, who picks up 3 kills in succession. RPK, Apex, NBK, all down to him. He's now going to be Happy alone in the 1v3 trying to clutch this bomb already halfway defused. He needs to get in there right now. Picks it up, needs to stop it, but no, too slow. And the bomb does get defused, giving the pistol over to Fragsters.
Didn't really see who threw the flashbang, but that flashbang being thrown from CT over, and then the timing when all 3 players rushes in. That flashbang basically ensures that Dragonfly, yes, amazing 3 frags here from him, but like the 2 first players, or actually the first player was completely flashed, and then he could just pick up the rest on the full confusion, because all of a sudden there's 3 CTs just coming in straight into the face of the terrorist sitting in that post plant setup. Very key flashbang coming in there, so big kudos to whoever plays through that.
It's going to be Vitality that get off to a good start, however, on their deco round, as it would appear the majority of them have chosen to go down that path.
That's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, I bring it out every once in a while.
Yeah.
Technically not a full deco round. But.
That's how it was back in the day in Source when the Deagle was so overpowered. Just like 60 win rate percent on deco rounds, basically.
It's going to be pretty successful today, too, to be honest.
Yep.
In the last series, I think at least one round went to a team that bought like 4 or 5 deagles. So
yeah, there was that one round where it was a saved AK and then 4 deagles.
that was it, yeah. It was granted the AK had like most of the impact in that round, but
Torben, now we're going to see if he can find some magic on his own. As it seems like the push is going to come his way. Him and Dragonfly, Radiant waiting, pushing out of the smoke is the T side.
And unfortunately, Vitality now look like they're going to fall flat on this one. We'll see if the pressure's enough to push out the Goose player, but no, Torben still stands strong, now with 3 kills in his pocket. And for Happy, well, 1v4 is now set against him with only 13 HP to utilize. He did see at least one of those players, if not the second one that was also up by Goose, too. So he knows something's going on there, but he's just going to get pushed by Dragonflies, so no hope for him, as we do see the second round picked up quickly there by the Fragsters.
And this is like another example of how structured Fragsters actually are in the small situations that don't really rely on, let's say, the stand-in. Like this setup with Torben and Dragonfly, they've practiced this so much. So they're just making sure that, yes, this is a deagle eco and we should basically grab this round, but making sure that they don't lose anything either. That could have been very dangerous, like 3 deagles pushing through a smoke. But the flash timing coming in from long and then the guy hiding at Goose peeking perfectly, like that's how they do it. That's how you do it in that scenario without losing anything. Just make sure that you're constantly taking safe duels. And that's exactly what they're doing. 7-10 will be the scoreline, and a bye coming in from Vitality. Key round here, as we have 2 UMPs on the CT side. So a little bit of a bonus. They can still go for force buy if they lose this, but Apex coming in to clean. There's no immediate refrag. That means that Apex is going to get the chance. He's going to get the spray correction as well onto Dragonfly. Apex just completely destroys them on short.
It's a complete lack of pressure now on this A-bomb set as well. We're really only going to be having the CTs working their way in from CT to deal with here now. And one of them actually gets away with it. Okay, 2 of them get away with opening kills on this one, so the retake is alive and well, it would seem, but NBK trading the first one back with his quick wraparound through the mid doors. He's going to be able to pick off the first and second remaining defenders here and secure the round after all for Vitality, even though it was looking like it might have slipped away there at the end.
That's such a rough round as well for Fragsters, because the setup they have on short is basically built so that if Apex gets an opening kill and they so pressure towards short, you just immediately get the refrag and shut down the map control. But then he just goes ahead and grabs 3. And that whole setup had one plan, and that one plan is just completely destroyed now. Force buy will be coming in, as mentioned before. AWP on refresh this time around. I think it's spawn-based. Maybe he just made an individual call that he wanted to do something with it onto B. Because usually you see that off on Dragonfly. Actually interesting that they have 2 scoped rifles on that B bomb side right now, because HS also has a scout. So if an execute comes in towards B, it's going to be very hard for them to hold.
Especially if it ends up bursting in. But thankfully, I don't think they're going to have to deal with that on this round. It doesn't look like Vitality has any kind of setup where they would go for that. That could obviously change within the next few moments here, but it does appear as though Vitality's favoring a slower take towards the A site and primarily through Cat, where there's plenty of players to defend it. The problem is that the majority of them are positioned a little bit more down towards long. So to defend the actual site here on Cat, you really only have Stound. And with a deagle and all this utility coming his way, he can't do much to stand in the way of it here. He's going to have to hope for a close fight with that deagle. Good chip damage being done. Both shots connecting onto RPK, but no actual kill. It's going to be Torben that moves in instead to finish off RPK and at least make it a 1-for-1 exchange.
CT player is HS will be taken down. Torben as well. This should be rather easy for NBK and Saiwu to hold. Apex even drops down to the frag and happy with the flank, and Vitality will get on 12. One thing we have to mention as well is that, yes, this is the map choice of Fragsters. They haven't had the best of results on it lately, but when we go over to Cash, that's even worse for them. That means that if they want to have a chance at this best of like 3 scenario, I feel like they have to win Dust 2. There's no way they're going to go straight out and just win 2-0. I don't think they're going to get Cash in like any scenario. So they have to get something done here in Dust 2 in order to have a chance in this best of 3.
And that means we need to see them wake up pretty much right now here. Yeah. Unfortunately, the scoreline is getting out of control very quickly. We're going to be on 13 more than likely very soon, unless Fragsters can pull off a tremendous upset here. Unfortunately, with just default pistols, I don't think that's likely, but at minimum, they should look to get at least 1 or 2 kills at the doors. There we go. Apex is getting run over by a train of 3 players. Unfortunately, that train will go both ways, and Stone is now left in the 1v4 alone, tries his best to scavenge one of the rifles on the ground, but can't find it, and so he's stuck with his measly little USP. Doomed to fall in just a few seconds there as Vitality finally get the edge on him.
This is it, John. This is the buy. If Vitality can grab this round and get on 13 and economy check completely on the Fragsters guys, I think this 2 is over.
And I would agree.
This is the buy. This is where they need to stand their ground, Fragsters, in order to have a hope in this tournament. This is where they need to shut down Saiwu, because that's also one thing we can note as well. Yesterday he was having an okay day, generally like +1 in scoreline even though they lost. But today he's like 21-9. He's showing the normal kind of online level that he usually shows.
Well, Fragsters certainly ready for a quicker push on the both of the sites, and they've got 2 men in the B site ready to fend off this 3-man push. Note the bomb isn't being committed here just yet. Vitality more just kind of feeling out the site, but the trades work out perfectly, and they still have a clean path to move the bomb through those upper tunnels and into the B site as well. It's going to be obviously about a 20-30 second delay, but look at Fragsters. They're already grouping up to save, it looks like, at this point in time. Happy's even got a pinch set up if they try to go out for long to flank towards that B site, so not really any options for these last 3 players due to the success of the take on the B site.
And that's a problem now, because Vitality will get on 14. And yes, they have 3 weapons that they can bring into the next round, but the 2 teammates are going to be on Desert Eagles, maybe an MP9. So it's not going to be a good setup against the AKs. Very, very tough for Fragsters to bring this back. Not impossible, but highly improbable.
And a good attempt, of course, the 2 players on the site to stop it, but just nowhere near enough trades. They needed to sustain that or keep a retake possibility alive for the 3 other players. Just Apex getting dropped, Refresh able to find nothing from his position. So Vitality do run over the B site, and from the very start of the round already have control of it here. Fragsters don't even really make an attempt to contest it. There's not a point considering where they're at here. They need to keep those guns in check for the next round. And with that, Vitality push onward, up to 14 now. 2 more. They've got map 1 under their control, and potentially leads them into a very, very dominant map 2, if things are going the way they look right now.
Very nicely done so far from Vitality. We have to give it to them. They've been playing some good aggressive CT, some good aggressive T side. Saiwu's definitely showing up with the AWP and any rifle also when he gets that chance, but mostly the AWP. That's what we didn't see yesterday. NBK's doing a good job controlling everyone, keeping everyone on good pace around the map. Apex is also stepping up. We saw that in the pistol. All these small things that we needed to see from Vitality, they're all happening right now. At Fragsters, they're not playing a bad game. That's also something we have to say. Like, we had a very scrappy game in the first best of 3 today. I feel like this is kind of different because Fragsters are not specifically like making bad choices or not utilizing their timeouts or losing straight 1v1 duels. Vitality are just playing like good structured CS at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, in a lot of situations, we're just seeing Fragsters get outplayed, really. We're just seeing them either getting outgunned, like we saw in the last round there, just didn't really have the capability to stop that B push, and with how quickly and how early in the round it was taken, there's just no way for Fragsters, the 3 remaining players, to turn that around, and sometimes it's getting mind gamed a little bit. It's just Vitality's playing better CS right now, at the end of the day. So we do end up seeing Vitality try to actually take a pretty similar approach to the start of the round. Nowhere near as aggressive, obviously. 2 players are going to hold in those upper tunnels. The bomb originally with them, but since the smoke was deployed, will fall back pretty quickly. Torben gets spotted and nearly picked off, trying to lurk through the double doors at long. Dragonfly at least will get revenge for that, but he also takes a chip of damage too. Goes down to 60 HP, whereas Torben just barely survives the encounter at 10.
Apex towards short behind the smoke, just waiting for it to dissipate and then potentially getting a flash timing in. No one's watching short right now, so actually no need for the flash timing. They're going to save that for later. As Dragonfly is ready on the side. Smoke drops. Molotov towards Goose. Actually, Molotov towards the side. Doesn't really do much for Dragonfly, who was going to go for the slow position anyways, but the flash timings here are perfect. They're going to get the sniper free. 2 flashbangs completely incapacitates him. 1 guy towards long is also going to be taken out. The guy towards CT, everything is just falling apart.
Yeah, surprisingly, the one at 10 HP in Pit is the one they couldn't find there. Torben was even in the open for a second, too. You saw them trying to spam him back there, but he ends up surviving and trading one of these guys back. So it goes down to a 2v3. The problem is Torben can't make any aggressive play out long right now. HS has to take the distraction, which he's just done. But, oh no, Torben actually gets the better of Zaiwu. So now Fragsters have a real chance to shut this down. It's going to be RPK looking for the closeout. He's found 1, but he's been dinked down to 4 HP. Doesn't matter, though. Still manages to put together that 2nd kill and keep Vitality in control.
that take in general from Vitality was very, very nice. They had the Molotov that bounces and goes onto the side. They could technically also have had the Goose Molotov if they wanted to. But then the flash time, because they know that, okay, if he's Goose, he's probably going to rotate down because that position doesn't make a lot of sense if you're an AWP. And I think they heard the AWP and they just guessed that he was going to AWP on that side. And then just consecutively like chain flash onto A slope. As we do see the duel here, Stam is trying to challenge with the scout. But the chain flashing onto slope just completely takes the AWP out of the picture. So nicely done for Vitality. Really nice executing that round.
And unfortunately on that point here, Fragsters are not able to put up the best fight. It's so far been a Vitality-sided affair. Oh, and it's going to get even worse here now as we've got Happy going for the peak 2, maybe 3, maybe the game ender, but no, HS holds the line. But Happy's done his job. He's taken out the majority of them, but the only HS standing, and even he's gone down now too, so it's 16-7. It is Vitality that'll take control of the opening map of the series on Dust 2 and set them up for a potential victory now if they can follow that through with Cash, their opponent. Their map pick.
Solid start, I have to say, for Vitality. They're looking really, really good. Looking like we expect Vitality to look. NBK looking solid as well. Fragwise both is leaving the in-game team. Saiwu with the AWP finally showing up at this tournament. Really nice to see him showing the same results that he can show online. And everyone just clicking, like their executes are fine. Individually, they're good. As a team, as a unit, they're really cohesive. So very nice done.
You get a nice RPK clutch at the end there too, which is always good to see. So
the tank coming back into fashion.
Yeah, very much so. And that was the thing I was excited to see with this roster. So it's good to see that jumping into shape. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be heading to a short commercial break when we do return. The second map between these two teams, and potentially the deciding map as well. So stick with us.